Welcome back to the Friday Night 360 AZ preview show alongside Haley Stasiak. I'm Jordan Hammond. We are now joined by Mark McClune. He is all over the place, whether it's the Cardinals, he's at the Suns this morning. He's also on a lot of high school sidelines. Mark, thanks so much for joining us.
Hey, good to be here, and I tell you what, my favorite thing to do is canvas the valley on a Friday night looking for lights.
So before we jump into this year of football, let's go back to last year. I remember standing on a sideline with you in the 6A state semi game, Perry against Mountain Point, and you made an observation that stuck with me for a while, and that was Brock Purdy and his ability, the touch he has on a lot of his passes reminded you of Baker Mayfield. Now we fast forward, he has 2 wins over ranked opponents for Iowa State. Just what have you made of Brock Purdy's hot start and his crazy recruitment since the season ended last year?
Oh, it's just crazy. I don't know that it surprised any of us in Arizona that actually got the privilege to stand on the sidelines and watch him play. And I remember last fall, early in the football season, watching him play once in person. I had seen the tape of him beating Hamilton as a junior on his mad dash. I don't know if you remember that game in the playoffs. And you're like, who is this kid? And then we watched him in person, and you're like, why is every college in America not on this kid? Just the way he throws guys open, the way the chains move. He's a magic man. He's dynamic. I mean, the ball just kind of jumps up and bites his receivers. It was fun to watch. I didn't know how well it would translate at the next level, but then when you saw Alabama come in late and offer him a scholarship, and then he defied convention and went up to Iowa State, I mean, I think we're watching a screenplay unfold right in front of us that we were very lucky enough to kind of be there on the ground floor, and it's just been amazing to watch. I'm thrilled for him.
I know you've seen Boulder Creek receiver Hendrix Johnson. You did a really good piece on him earlier this month. I've seen him a couple times this season as well, and in both of those games, he returned a kickoff for a touchdown. He's pretty fast there. He's got over 1,000 receiving yards just offered by NAU this week. They were out of that game at Desert Vista, so that's where they offered him, saw him. They saw one of those touchdown returns. What is it about him, in your opinion, that makes him unique?
I mean, he just has kind of that it factor. He's very comfortable on a football field. Really neat kid. The story we did on him, maybe NAU saw that. Hopefully they saw that, got down there, and just watching how he's able to kind of move in space and traffic. And he's a guy that just puts points up on the scoreboard, and what Boulder Creek's trying to do up there is kind of change the culture. He's the one who's really leading that. And a really funny story. So we were back here. My sports photographer John Gustafson went up there and did all the interviews. I kind of mapped out the questions for him and had conversations over the phone. And we kind of knew the direction we wanted to go on the story. But we got back here, we were putting together the story for the news hit, and we couldn't use any Jimi Hendrix music because of rights issues. So we started going through the library here, the Arizona's Family Music Library. Instead of Hey Joe, we used the song Hey Jim. So that is the Hey Jim is the soundtrack to the Arizona's Family story on Hendrix.
Awesome. Let's talk Chandler Wolves. The Wolves are a powerhouse year in and year out. But what is it about this year's team that maybe differs from years past?
I think just the confidence and the swagger. I think you go back to Bryce Perkins and Chase Lucas and N'Keal Harry, and those guys were certainly, they might have even been more talented, but I don't think that they had the confidence. They weren't the stars in town. It was still Hamilton, and they had to knock them off and kind of plant their flag on top of the mountain there, and that would be a team that will always be remembered. The first state championship team at Chandler since the 40s. This team with Jacob Conover and Braden Leibrock and I mean, you could just go on and on and on. I mean, you see them do the haka dance before the game. They're there to stare other teams down. They mean business, and I mean, I don't think they're going to get beat. The only issue I have with Chandler right now is I just wish you could put Saguaro on the schedule. I'd love to see those two teams play. I'll make it happen. I'll draw out some lines in the park near my house, and I mean, get me Chandler and Saguaro head to head. I want to see who wins that game.
I know you're doing some dancing on your Arizona Family's morning show today. Any chance you would get out there and do the haka?
I think I could do the haka. I don't know. I was dancing with the Golden Grannies. With a
slightly different vibe.
Yeah.
More my speed.
Not as much of an intimidation factor there.
Right, and as I get to be 40 years old here, I watched football. I played it until I couldn't play it anymore in Texas growing up, and then I've been real fortunate to cover it since then. And I've always kind of had that thing where I stand on the sidelines and think I can play and think I can get in there, and and now that I've hit 40, it's like I can't go as fast. And I look at football now and I'm like, that looks like it really hurts. I wouldn't want any part of that. So I'll stick with the grannies.
So you are a big Texas Longhorn fan. You mentioned Braden Liebrock. He's committed to the Longhorns, as well as Jake Smith. Just what do you make of these Arizona guys that have committed to the Longhorns?
Well, finally. I mean, you see all the talent coming out of here, and you see all the quarterbacks around the valley. I mean, that's almost a story in and of itself, just all the talent and all the skill positions. And every time I see where guys are going, whether it be Jack Miller at Ohio State or Darvon Hubbard as running back Ohio State, Spencer Rattler at OU, which it's going to be so hard to root against him, but I'm going to have to because I've got to know him and his dad, and they're good folks. But you just look around and you never see Texas out here, and to see Tom Herman coming in here and starting to get kids out of here. I keep hoping to run into either Tom Herman or maybe they just send McConaughey out here, Matthew McConaughey out to the sidelines, and we can just say, all right.
Any bold predictions as we get into these last 2 weeks and into the playoffs with Arizona high school football?
Bold predictions. I'm going to say, as we talked about Brock Purdy, I'm going to say Chubba Purdy, his brother, pulls off an upset in the playoffs.
Okay.
And I don't know who that will be against. I would like to see him get another shot against Chandler. I don't think they would win the game, but I think it would be a lot closer the next time out. I think Perry has some new corners who, if their defense has got to really clean things up. So, I think Chandler can be beat. It's just going to be really hard. So Chubba Purdy's going to pull off an upset. I just don't know who he's going to beat.
All right, fair enough. Mark, always fun talking to you. We appreciate you jumping on with us.
Anytime, guys.
Thanks, Mark.
That is Mark McClune, Channel 3, Channel 5 sports reporter. One of the best guys out there.
Yeah, he's fun. He's everywhere.
I always love getting to talk to him. So really quickly, let's go over a couple of these games. Haley, what do you have on the slate for our previews?
Chaparral at Pinnacle. This game's going to be on ESPNU. Storyline here is Chaparral quarterback Jack Miller is not going to be playing. He's got a high-grade knee sprain that he sustained during their game against Mountain Point last week. Part of the reason this game was so hyped was that this game was going to have Jack Miller, who's committed to play football at Ohio State, and Spencer Rattler, obviously with Pinnacle, who's committed to play at Oklahoma, as
right.
Mark was just mentioning. Chefs 5-3. Their losses coming in that game went down, or their losses came to Mountain Point in that game where Miller went down. They were upset by Boulder Creek, and obviously that big game against Saguaro. So it's going to be interesting to see how the Firebirds fare without Miller coming in these last 2 weeks.
Yeah, and right now they're number 13, in 6A, according to these AIA rankings. They wrap up the year against Pinnacle and Liberty, so really tough. They're going to try to find a way to get into the postseason. If they do, I think they're a pretty dangerous, teen seed that they could end up being. But two really, really tough games at the end of the schedule here for them.
Valley Christian at Borgade Catholic. I saw Valley Christian against Northwest Christian. Eric was out there last week. If you haven't checked out his piece on head coach Kirk Sundberg, check that out. It's up there on the site. It's pretty good. The Trojans have had big wins against Yuma Catholic and Odyssey Institute. But, something to watch here is they have a unique use of two quarterbacks. They've got junior quarterback Louis Lopez, that's for Borgade Catholic, but they've got Peyton Hansel and Vinny Legata. They run some unique plays with those two, and Borgade Catholic is 5-3. They've got some juniors that are getting it done, have a unique kind of system there too. Their numbers are impressive. So good stuff here with Valley Christian and Borgade Catholic. Yeah, Valley Christian, they're number 5 right now. They beat the number 3 and 6 teams, as you mentioned. At one point, Odyssey was number 1 in 3A. Valley Christian has the highest average opponent rating, so one of the toughest schedules in 3A, and here they are sitting at number 5, playing pretty good right now. Highland at Queen Creek is going to round it out for us. We talk about these teams a lot because they are so good, but this is going to be a really great matchup. I feel like these two teams are pretty evenly matched, very well-rounded teams. Obviously, with Highland, Connor Collimore, Daniel Wood, Dayton Huffman there in the backfield, and then Noah Burdick and Tanner Crandall in that receiving core, as well as Connor Collimore. Caleb Herbert is a quarterback that I kind of believe is a little bit underrated. He can get it done in the pass game, he can get it done in the run game, and this Highland defense with Collimore leading the way is pretty impressive too. Yeah,
Devin, we have a meme that I think describes this game pretty dead on. Again, Highland, Queen Creek. They're very similar. So it's Spider-Man pointing to Spider-Man. Highland right now has scored 325 points this year, given up 164. Queen Creek has scored 333 points, given up 182. Difference right now where they are in the rankings. I think the big one is Queen Creek beat Mountain Point and Highland lost to them.
Yep.
But two really similar programs. I know that Travis Sherman, in kind of hearing what he had to say about Highland, he knows both of these teams are going to play until the whistle is blown. It's going to be kind of a knock 'em out, drag out type game. So a really good game in 6A.
I am going out this week to Higley at Gilbert. You can check out our interview with head coach Derek Zellner of the Gilbert Tigers from last week's Friday Night 360 AZ preview show. I know your weekend is kind of up in the air.
Yeah, if you can't hear, I'm kind of playing hurt right now, as is probably everybody. But yeah. So we'll try to get out to game. Not sure which one though. So.
Great stuff this week. We will post the show on demand. Catch us out on the sidelines. Use that Friday Night 360 AZ hashtag. Be here next week on Wednesday at 11 a.m. to catch us again. Thanks for joining us.